Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Revival of America podcast. This is Jenny. I'm the owner and the host of the Revival of America. Today, everybody, we have Juan in the house. We're crossing our fingers. I know yesterday he did say he may have to do an emergency travel, so hopefully we're still on. He confirmed it this morning. I have not heard back from him since I asked how much time he has and sent him the link. So hopefully I'll see him here pop in real soon over here on Rumble. Anyway, everybody, so welcome. I want to say welcome. Also, to everybody, please be careful who you listen to, who you follow, what you're putting in your mind, because there's a lot of noise out there, guys, and it's just becoming more obvious on a daily basis of who to follow and who not to follow. Because the more they speak, the more they pretty much show their true colors, and we're seeing a lot of it, guys. I'm getting a lot of information on some people that many of us have followed, posted some of their things, and getting some information that maybe not do that anymore. They may not be on the right side of the fence. So tighten up that circle, guys. I'm telling you, I used to say 3 to 5 people. Now I say 1 to 5 people, 1 to 3 people. But if you just don't know who to follow in general, follow Donald Trump. First and foremost, God, but Donald Trump, because our president is telling us everything we need to know, guys. He's not as cryptid and coded as he used to be. I don't know if many of you guys watched his press conference today, but he says central casting all the time, guys, and that's for a reason. We had Fox News come out and talk about 2 out of the 4 astronauts were central casting. So, I mean, even the lying lamestream media news is slowly bits and pieces reporting some truths here. So, just be careful, guys. It's a wild west out there, I'm telling you, but it's really in our faces, and I have a big smile on my face because it's that obvious. Like for me, it's that obvious. I can see it. I see right through it, and it's happening. We knew this was going to happen. So be careful, everybody. Trust me. Be careful. I can't implore that enough to you guys. Also, to everybody, if you are coming into the podcast late or you want to send it to somebody, you are more than welcome to listen to the podcast on the podcast host or my social medias. We are being listened to in over 100 countries, guys. So we are making some great, wonderful, positive noise. The podcast hosts are iHeartRadio, Spotify, Anchor, Apple, Google, Breaker, PocketCast, Podbean, Riverside, Amazon Music. Social medias are Jenny Jeread Facebook, at Jenny_Jeread X, at JJeread Rumble, at JJeread True Social, at JJeread Instagram, The Revival of America right here on Telegram, and The Revival of America over on YouTube. We are streaming right now through Telegram into Rumble. So I want to say hello, Rumble, and I see Rubber Duck is over there. What's up, Rubber Duck? So anyway, guys, so yeah, check out the websites also too. I'm trying to centralize everything with my messaging. So if you guys have a message for me, please send it to my email, and that's the revival of America at yahoo.com. I will read your email, get back to you as soon as I can on those. And if you're trying to get in touch with John Baxter Field and want to know about Field's books, let me know all over there at the revival of America at yahoo.com. It's just too challenging for me to be going back and forth to all these DMs, messages, and all that stuff. So right there, send it to my email, and I'll get back to you as soon as I can. Also, if you have somebody reaching out to you claiming to be myself or any of my guests, asking if you're ready for the scare event or anything like that, please know that I will not randomly reach out to you, nor will my guests, and ask you any of those questions. So if you get that block report, let me know so I can make sure they're not here in any of my channels. Also, too, last but not least, if you have a story or a journey to tell, please reach out to me at TROA submissions at yahoo.com and give me a synopsis of your story, your truth, whatever it is you've been trying to share, but you've been censored or too nervous to share. And I will read through it. If I believe it is legitimate, I will reach out to you via email and get your voice, your story heard on the show. Because remember, it's your voices, your stories are going to help shape this new world we're coming into. And also, guys, it's I have to vet them because unfortunately we're getting the scammers over there just giving fake stories to want to get on a podcast. So not doing it. That's not how I roll. You guys know, if you know who I am, I don't do the drama. I don't do I don't do that stuff. And these scammers are getting more creative by the day. So we've got to be more careful and use just kick that discernment up, guys, in high gear, because it's like I said, crazy out there. So with that, guys, hang tight. I'm gonna message Juan here again. But if he does not come on today because of maybe a travel, he had to do emergency travel, we will get him rescheduled. That is a definite for sure. I do respect his time. I respect his schedule. I'm blessed to be able to get him on when I can. We are going to try to get him on a little more. He and I did speak about that in the background. So I don't know what that means. If it's going to be monthly, if it's going to be every 2 weeks, whatever it is. But he's got a lot of great information, and with the things that are up and coming, I think people really need to kind of get on board with that and stay focused on the things that matter. That we are going to be seeing and dealing with, that could be that quote unquote scare event, whatever that is, how it looks, I don't know, financial, supplies wise, I don't know, guys, but we've definitely been prepared for something in our journey here. When they say get your gas, get your water, get all that kind of stuff. Whatever it looks like, we don't know, but we definitely are mentally prepared for it. I believe in that regard, but I do believe we're still, all of us are still going to be kind of shocked at what's to come down the pike. So I'm not about the fear. I'm not about the fear mongering. I tell you guys to stay out of that all the time, because remember, everybody, there's more positive happening than there is bad. So stay out of the noise. So with that, guys, we'll sit here, hang tight for a second. If you have a question for me while we wait, please feel free to request a mic over here on Telegram, or write your question on Rumble in the comment box as I'll give it a little bit, and then like I said, if he's not able to come in, then we will just get it rescheduled. But hang in there, everybody. I'm gonna go message Juan real quick. So while we wait for him to respond to me, everybody, I'm going to give you. Okay, so we had two shows today. Rubber Duck. If you weren't over on my X Space and listened to Rubber Duck this morning, great show. Great information. We talked a lot about obviously what's going on, and then President Trump's speech, not speech, but press conference today. We went over a lot of that. He said there was a lot of comms in that, guys. So that was a great podcast, very informative. And everybody, if you're not following Rubber Duck, I have called the show with Rubber Duck every Monday this series, because it's a series of great information from Rubber Duck. It's always different. And if you're not following him, I think you really should, because he's very transparent. He doesn't give two shits. He's not, it's kind of like a lot of us, and we're not in here to buddy up with people. We're in here for the truth, right? If we make friends along the way, which many of us have, that's even better. But at the same token, he's just straight up. He's a very, very special individual, not only to me as a friend, but I do believe in this movement. And many of you guys know, just like Juan, he's a very special person in this movement. If you're not following Juan, you should. But Rubber Duck has been quite a voice in this movement. If you followed him for a while, as well as right there, doing a lot of the able danger things with Field in his chat. So Field even gave him a an agent name. I believe it was Agent Wallace. So and if you know Field, you know how he does that. So yeah, definitely check out Rubber Duck. He is with me now every Monday in the place of where Field was. But once we get some more updates on Field, we'll keep you posted on that and where that will land itself in the future. But in the meantime, Rubber Duck is every Monday, 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 11 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. And then we had just a great show right now with John Baxter, Anti-Aging Medbed. Great information. He's giving hope where maybe many of you feel hopeless when it comes to your health. So he's changing the lives of people, hope and encouragement. And he's offering a free AI scan that will basically scan your body and let you know what's going on. Kind of that second opinion, everybody. Because I tell everybody, if you don't have that relationship with your physician, that's a big red flag. That's key, because your health is your most important, right? If you don't have your health, you don't have anything. So he could definitely be your second opinion. I know many people have reached out to me in regards to that, because they just feel hopeless. But don't feel hopeless, everybody. There is hope and there is encouragement. I promise issue. I get the testimonials from my audience members, and I see it firsthand from my father using his frequencies and technologies. So his shows are always great. He's always on a Monday too, 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And then many of you have been asking me about Dallas. Dallas will be coming back on this Wednesday, back to his slot, 3 p.m. Central Standard Time. He has his day gig, everybody. So obviously, I think he starts at right around normally the time that our shows start. So then last week, his daughter had a track meet. Of course, family and work are priority to the podcast. So always I tell him, he's got a space here on my show anytime. But he will be here this week at 3 p.m. Central Standard Time. Silk will also be on my show Wednesday, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time over on X. Then we are going to have, is it Josh? Is it Josh? Yeah, no, yeah, Josh. Yeah, Josh. Red Pill TV. You guys might know him. He's a human encyclopedia. He and Alpha Warrior do a lot of shows together. Great. Another one, Wealth of Information. He will be on here over on my X space on Wednesday. He's hoping he's going to be able to make it. He thought for some reason he may not have great reception, but look for that one on Wednesday over on my X Space. And Alpha Warrior will be joining us next week when he gets back from Tennessee. So if you guys are in the Tennessee area, go check him out. I think he's got a conference or some kind of speaking event to go to. As soon as I find out where it is, I can post it in the on the wall here. And yeah, if you go, it's kind of cool if you guys can meet your fellow patriots. But he will be, I believe, in Tennessee next week. So if you get an opportunity and I get that information, I can post it on the wall here for you. And then Troy, everybody, it looks like he's going to come back on with Everything XRP next Wednesday, and I'll keep you posted on that time. So with that, everybody, hang tight. Gonna wait a little bit longer for Mr. Juan to get here. Hopefully, we still can have this conversation. But again, I just don't know. So hang in there, everybody. Flyfoot me over here on Rumble. I just talked about Dallas. He'll be back here on Wednesday this week, 3 p.m. Central Standard Time, and then he'll be back. We'll just have him scheduled every other Wednesday, unless he tells me different. And obviously, guys, I'll let you know if if he has to cancel a show or not. So hang in there, buddy. Let me see if Juan's responded to me. Let's see, there's several of you guys here on Telegram. Telegram, what's up? If any of you guys have questions for me right now, feel free while we wait. I will wait a little bit longer for Juan, but if any of you guys have questions for me, please let me know. Raise your hand. I will unmute your mic. For me, I hate the awkward silence, and I'm not going to sing for you, but I can play my theme song for you. But sometimes when I play it back on the replay, it sounds horrible. So I don't like that. But yeah, if you guys have a question for me, feel free to request a mic and I'll unmute your mic. Rumble, if you have a question for me over there, type it in the comment area, and I will read it and answer if I have an answer for you. Oh, cool. So Rumble, you're getting notices when I go live. Okay, that's awesome. Yay. And then John Baxter is going to come on next Monday. We're going to do a live video with him down at his facilities. For those of you that have inquired or maybe been down there or want to go down there, he's going to talk to you guys and kind of go over all of his little technologies down there at his facility, what they do, and show you what's going on down there. It's pretty cool. Rubber Duck, you're getting some love over here on Rumble. Say hello. All right, guys, let's see. Rumble. Hey, Rubber Duck. My mom and dad are doing great these days. Thank you so much for asking. Okay, Alpha and Josh will be at GART this weekend in Tennessee. Yeah, that's a Badlands Media Tour. Yeah, they've got their Badlands Media Tour going on. Rubber Duck, not Rubber Duck, but Alpha spewed off the dates and locations a while ago to me, but I forgot to write them down. But yeah, looks like Josh and Alpha will be at GART this weekend. So if you guys are in the area, check them out, guys. Say hi to your fellow patriots. Jenny, Jerry, Jared says hi. What? Grateful Gresh. What is that? Okay. Hello. Where can we follow Rubber Duck? You can follow Rubber Duck over on X. Rubber Duck, put your information in the chat box for everybody that's asking about where they can follow you. He's the Rubber Duck, the Rubber Duck 79, I believe, over on X. Yes, Josh and Alpha, two great patriots. I agree with you on that 100%. Let's see. When is Derek Johnson coming back on? He'll be back on next Monday. He's every other Monday, everybody. Okay, let's see. Sandy, go ahead. You had your over here on Telegram. You had your hand up. Go ahead.
Yes. First of all, I want to thank you for all that you do, Jenny, because you're great.
Oh, thank
And
you.
I've missed things for a little while. And what's going on with Field? Is he ill or is he just unavailable or what?
Well, Fields, he had a fall and he broke 7 of his ribs. So he had a major surgery that they had to get his ribs back together. And, you know, when I would speak to him on the phone before his surgery, he was really having some challenges talking because of the pressure on his chest. So he's had the surgery. He's out of the surgery. Obviously, he's now in recovery, doing rehab. So that's what he's focusing on. And yeah, I've talked to his daughter. I've talked to his nurse that's been taking care of him there at the house. So I I'm not getting like weekly or daily updates, so it's been a bit of a challenge because I'm but again, you know, I want him to focus on his health because that's the most important. And as soon as I get updates, trust me, I try to at least reach out once a week to get status. Oh, Juan just said, give me 5 minutes. I apologize. Okay. And then so as soon as I have information, guys, I will let you know. It was funny when I spoke to him, he thought I was calling him about the show. And I said, no. I just want to call, make sure you're doing okay. The show. I put that on hold with you for a while. You take care of yourself and you get better. So as soon as I know more with Field, guys, I certainly will let you know. But definitely keep him in your prayers for sure. Because it's definitely going to be a little bit of a healing process for sure.
Oh, wow. Well, thank you for keeping in touch with them
Of
and for
course.
letting us know. That is great. Thank
Absolutely.
you.
You're welcome. All right, go ahead, Leah.
Hello, how are you?
I'm good. How are you, my friend?
Good, good, good. Hey, I just wanted to fill a little blank here while we wait for Juan. Hit on a great little decode. Many were watching our EASTER timeline, our Easter timeline, and I hit a little decode as I've been following, through Easter, and we did have the pilot or two that was lost in Iran. People went in on the ground, etc. So Trump had said, "We got him!" Explanation point, my fellow Americans, and that was his post on the 5th at 12:08. So if you gematria, we got him EP, it comes to 121. Well, lo and behold, the first result is Antichrist 121, blood sacrifice, Antichrist again. And then just to complement that, Paul White Gold Eagle said Stargate 10 in Iran has now been captured by the White Hat Alliance military. The war can end now. And he posted that at 11:54, April the 5th. And last thing, then Melissa Red Pill called out about the Antichrist and Daniel 28 and said today, Trump, President Trump is affirming this verse in Daniel chapter 8. I won't read it. I'll give the mic back. And nobody knows exactly when these things happen, but those things hit today. I found encouraging, and thanks for hosting us today. We love you very much.
Oh, thank you, Leah. I appreciate it. Yes, a lot of great things happening, everybody. And that's why I always say stay out of the noise, guys. There's just so much surface level stuff being talked about. Nobody's going deeper to, like, like Leah kind of brought that right there to a little bit to expound on it, right? So it's just all surface. So stay off of that noise, because there's a lot of it out there for sure. And Leah, if you want to read it, you're more than welcome to while we wait for Juan, just because he's not here yet, but I'll break in once he can, because I'm waiting for him in the green room right here on Rumble. So once he breaks in, I'll
Sure.
let you know.
Sure. And just if folks do not know that the control of the Stargates, I believe there's 12, one that, may have been over there where we're fighting. And if they were, figured out a process to let some negative entities in, regaining control of that was very important. So, Daniel 8 that Melissa Red Pill Freedom Force Battalion pulled, 823 says, at the end of their rule, when their sin is at its height, a fierce king, a master of intrigue, will rise to power. 24 reads, he will become very strong, but not by his own power. He will cause a shocking amount of destruction and succeed in everything he does. He will destroy powerful leaders and devastate the holy people. 25, he will be a master of deception and will become arrogant. He will destroy many without warning. He will even take on the Prince of Peace, the Prince of Princes in battle, but he will be broken through not by something power. I can't read by human power. So in any case, I thought that was pretty cool.
So just to clarify, everybody, that she's not reading this as if Trump is the Antichrist. I don't want people to get that
No,
confused.
the decode comes to oh, I forgot to read the Q drop. Hello. So the time stamp, and it's talking about Obama, the abomination. So Trump's timestamp on that was 1208, which reads over the target, expand further, Wendy, Hussein, Mac, AS, open source, gives a link, but that's pointing to the little girl Obama had in the White House, Allison Mack, I believe, Adam Shifty Shift. Either way, hopefully we regain the control of the Stargate. That's the most important point. And no, it was not talking about Trump being the Antichrist. I think it's talking about finally capturing that Antichrist spirit, which I believe is in more than one. But, maybe they stood up Obama to be that figure after Hillbeast didn't work out so well. Who was also raised by buzzards and hatched by the sun.
Yeah, no, I agree. And I just wanted to clarify that, just because, many people will take that and run with it. Trump does not fit that bill, everybody. It's already been debunked. So many out there try to put it out there as if he was it, but no, it's already been debunked. He doesn't fit that bill. So yeah, so don't think that, please, because it's not talking about our great president, Donald J. Trump. Thank you,
At
Leah.
and even Q says Hussein.
And I always said to myself and others, I always thought that Obama was the Antichrist. All right, Miss Mary, go ahead. Your mic is unmuted. Go ahead, Mary. Mary Jo, you just requested a mic. Go ahead. Mary, do you have a question? You just requested a mic. Go ahead. Okay. And everybody over here on Rumble, Rubber Duck has put his information in here for you to go follow him over there on X. It's the Rubber Duck 79 over on X. Yep, that's it. All right, guys, everybody, if you have a question, feel free to raise your hand. Rumble, go ahead and put your comments down if you guys have a question. Go ahead, Mary Grizzly. Your mic is unmuted. Go ahead, Mary.
Okay.
Oh, I'm sorry, Michelle. Michelle Grizzly. My bad. Sorry.
Yeah, I know. It's okay. Melissa Red Pill, her last YouTube that I just listened to twice that I think she did yesterday, when she was talking about Trump and this whole 48-hour thingamajiggy. And then I guess the end of this 48 hour is supposed to be either later tonight for them for their time or us tomorrow. And with it being the whole biblical thing, it'd be the 7th, which would be the last day of unleavened bread, which is the feast right after Passover, which is literally, part of the Passover season. So what she said in that, and I hope it's true and I agree because I've said this all along, that she said that that was the day that the Israelites that were left Egypt, right? They're in bondage, ran away from the bad guys, right? And then they got to the Red Sea. So it was like their Red Sea moment because that's when they got to go cross the Red Sea and get away from them. So I just literally pray to God that that happens like for us. um, um, and I guess that's probably the major thing that I had to say with that because it literally is biblical and it is. Tomorrow is like the last day of the Feast of Unleavened Bread. And hopefully it just all goes with it. That's all I got to say.
Thank you for sharing that. I appreciate that. I love how people tie in the biblical part of it. And yes, Melissa Red Pill, she does a great job at that. I really love her work. So she is definitely another one that's been consistent in her messaging and everything. And that's another thing to look for, everybody, when you're looking who to follow, is the consistency of their messaging. That they're not floppers, that they're going to the next best thing. So great information. Thank you, Michelle. All right, go ahead, Blessed Shah. Your mic is unmuted.
Hi, Jenny. I just had a question. I watched the John Baxter, listened to that, and you talked about sending you an email in order to get a hold of him. My brother's been in bad shape for 4 years. He can't walk. He's had 3 back surgeries and still can't walk. And he lives in Georgia, so he's not real far from Florida. And I was wondering how I would be able to get a hold of Baxter, or give my brother the information.
So send me an email at therevivalofamerica@yahoo.com and send me a good contact. Send me all your information. And
Uh-huh.
then I'll forward it on over to John and his staff, and they will get in
Okay.
touch with you
Oh, right.
and,
Thank you so
and tell
much.
you the process. And what a perfect day for you to come in and listen to John today, because he talked about one of his higher profile customers, I guess, or clients, if you
Yeah.
will. Talk about how he didn't walk for 20 years and now he's walking, running, and doing it
Oh,
all.
wow. I mean, my brother, he's talking about going back to the surgeon because he tried some shot thinking it was in the hip now. And if, maybe we'll have to do another surgery. I said, don't do any more surgeries. Please don't. I mean, he's just so desperate. It's bad. So I'm trying to find him some help.
Well, let me just tell you, John is definitely giving hope and encouragement to people. So they're amazing at what they're doing over there. And I'm very excited to hear his stories of people he's been meeting, some of the interviews that he's been doing. So he's really giving people that hope for sure. So
Yeah. So
yeah.
now do they have to, they physically go down to his place and then they take a scan there?
Well,
Is
no,
that
they
what
don't
they do?
have to. They don't have to go physically. They can
Oh,
call, and he can call, and they'll
uh-huh,
go through, talk to him, go through the process, right? And
uh-huh.
then if he feels like he wants to go down there and actually use the equipment in the facilities, because it might be better for him,
Right.
and he may need a little bit more, more treatments than just one. Then they'll
Oh,
they'll
yeah.
they'll they'll guide him the best that they know how.
Okay. Okay. Well, I did try to text you or send you an email. Oh, it's been months. And I tried the Revival of America at at yahoo.com, right? Is that's your
Sorry.
email?
Sorry,
Revi
Juan's
okay.
messaging me real. Yeah, the Revival of America at yahoo.com, correct.
Okay. Yeah. Well, somehow I couldn't get it to come up, but I'll try that again. Okay. Thank you, Jenny.
You're welcome. A lot of people forget to put the in front of Revival of America, so it's
Okay, that could be it.
the Revival of America at yahoo.com. So yeah, don't forget the part of it.
Great. Thank you.
You're welcome. Hang on,
Mm.
guys. Let me go message back. Juan. Hang on. Oh wait, he's in the green room. Oh, there he is. Hang on, guys. Yay! Okay, where did he go? Where's he at? Hang on, guys. You?
Yeah, I'm trying to get it. Let me flip the camera. It's not cooperating.
Okay. I thought it was on my end. So okay, so we're good.
Yeah, a second here. Let me see if it lets me flip. There we go.
Okay, real quickly while you're figuring that out, everybody over here on Rumble and Telegram. Raise your hand if you can hear Juan okay. And everybody over on Rumble, give me a okay in the messages that you can hear Juan okay.
5-5.
Awesome. Okay.
Gosh, I got.
Yay! He's trying to get his boots on air, everybody.
Yeah. Well, actually, all my jeans and my boots are out getting polished and cleaned and all that.
So you may not be able to, you may not be able to share. Are you in the States or are you abroad?
No, I am. I'm here in the States. In fact, I was in Florida for the last several days. I was in Vegas before, out of Dallas, but I'm leaving in the morning for the West Coast. Have critical meetings there for a couple of days.
So how much?
And then I'll be back. I'll be back here, Houston. I think right after that.
Okay, so real quickly, because I know you got a busy schedule. How much time do you have, my friend?
Oh, I think I can probably squeeze in an hour here, and I'm out here, beautiful sunshine, warm, comfortable. I want to enjoy it as much as I can, soak it in. I'm usually inside, usually a padded room with wheels. Sometimes it's a padded round room with wheels and jets. But anyway.
Yeah, you're a busy guy. Well, I appreciate you coming here, and I was just talking to the audience a little bit about trying to get you on a little bit more often, as obviously your schedule permits, because I know you are a super duper special person in this whole movement, and you're doing a lot of great things. So I want to personally say thank you for just doing what you do and being who you are and getting us through this journey the best way you know how. You're doing a great job.
Well, I mean, just I don't want to. There's so many amazing people. I'm just, have to pinch myself for even getting to hang with them. That are all putting so much time and effort in. I mean, I get to spend time all day in these kind of communications, but even like yourself, the people that are doing the podcast, keeping a community up to speed on stuff and preparing material. I mean, one of the guys that has been so helpful over the last several weeks, he's just creating the memes. He has the right system down for taking complex subject matter. And he took some of the stuff from the Bondgate stuff that we did last week and then ran it through programs that he has and then created these memes. And one of the attorneys that I was dealing with earlier today, he said, all the years that I've prepared for stuff for trial, if I'd had this available to me, it makes such a difference being able to put a picture together. And he's been on this, for over a decade, and he's never seen material like this. This is someone that was kind of in the community, but almost an unknown, and has just emerged as an extremely helpful person. Because picture says 1,000 words type of thing, and he's been able to take a lot of this complex material and reduce it down to something. Every day, another one. The guy is taking care of his grandmother. He's so her sole care provider, literally everything, food, restroom, medications. He does all of that. And yet his work in the gaps while taking care of grandma has allowed him to do some of the most amazing computer sciences work, forensic work on the vote stuff of anybody. I mean, one group wanted $1.2 million to do some forensic work on some of the vote fraud stuff. And it was paid, and they ended up with really kind of crap. And this was a well-known entity operation. This guy working in the basement, taking his own time to figure it out as a brilliant mind, and then to be able to map it out with precision. Some of our guys that are very, very smart on this stuff looked at it, cross-checked it, and you did this at home on your own without a team? Are you kidding me? This community is so amazing because it's different types of skill sets. So and I'll just add this one other thing. It was a truck driver talking with other truck drivers back at the 2020 election and 2022 that observed a particular thing, and it happened both times. And then there was questions about origins on ballots. So last year before the elections, in that time period, we had knowledge of a certain series of events happening and ballots coming into the country a certain way. This person got somewhere in the linkages, got to us with some key, relatively minor pieces of communication. I actually flew out where he was and met with him. Literally had to go find him between truck stops, and then he showed me all the materials he had and gave me the information that he had developed. We were able to cross-reference that to other information we already have and fill in some crucial gaps, including something that was going on literally just hours from then. I mean, I hadn't flown there, met with them, got it in person, and then to see it and hear him explain a couple little details, and then we knew, that's why we're not seeing it here, because it's over here. It was a sleight of hand thing, very sneaky. And we're able to track some crucial ballots that were moving in the country that weren't supposed to be going, that weren't ever supposed to come into the country. This community, top to bottom, and by the way, and another couple who is in the community, person that we have contact with, we needed to intercept a highway and verify if certain vehicles were moving one place to the other because they were ahead of us. And so I was able to call somebody in a particular state near a main interstate, ask them to go out at midnight and watch the road until 6 in the morning to see if they saw a very specific group of trucks moving. And they were able to verify that they didn't go that route, which meant that we took a chance and went a different direction, intercepted them a couple hundred miles away, going a different route. They were taking a kind of a back road route that didn't go through all the cameras along one of the main interstates is the way it was. But their help, while it would seem like, it's failure, they found no, it gave me the confidence that we could intercept those particular loads in a different location, and it wasn't a complete waste of time. It wasn't. When we found them, it was, we were able to time it out, and it got right in the zone. So, this is a community where you don't know when you might have some little piece in it, some role to play that is just so helpful, and it's a team effort. And citizen by citizen, we're all playing some role. We're available. you might go years and you're not, nobody gets to count on you. And then one little thing happens so that you're right at the pointy end of the stick. So, even communicating in friends and family. One of the people that was at our bond conference the other day, his whole career was as a bond trader, 40 years in the bonds market. And so because of a relative that we had talked to and knew us, she had talked to this person, says, you ought to go, look into this. He was very, very skeptical, wasn't thinking it was worth his time, and, didn't really want to be involved in that way. But he went ahead because of this person, put the lien on him. You got to go. So he shows up, he hears what is going on, and he gets to talk to some of the other experts. And he thought he understood what was going on before he ever got there. And I had talked with him before the conference by phone, and he was, yeah, I suppose I could come out. I'll come out. When he got there, he was just blown away at the quality of work that the attorneys and others had done in their court cases and in prepping and in researching the market. But then he added one little thing. We were aware of it, but we didn't have an expert to talk on it, having to do with the reinsurance corporations. And so we had a couple of the attorneys doing stuff that, yeah, they're aware of it. They knew it was there. And then he explained a couple little details that added something that we figured out where a huge percentage of the money is being siphoned off at. And it was just, it was one of the people in a political position being diligent, talking with a relative, putting the lien on them. They show up and they add a detail that really, I think, will change the perspective in unusual ways of how we view the tie between the bond market, the frauds in the elections, and the monetary frauds, who's actually getting some of that monetary fraud, and how's it being shuffled through. So again, the strength of this team, the people in your audience, is that stuff that's going on, we may not individually know some area or be the perfect person. Then again, at any given moment, you might be the only person that God's put in the stream somehow, connecting things, that actually has just the right connection to pull something off or accomplish something that needs to be accomplished. And, you're there by divine assistance, guidance, etc. In so many ways, it's just a really fun community. So anyway.
Well, you're talking about the bonds. That's a couple of things that I want to talk to you about. The bonds, and then the situation with Tina Peters, and then of course Trump's press conference today. That was awesome, by the way. But yeah, can you talk a little bit more about the bonds? So you were in Vegas last week, and you're going to go back again this week. Is it all regarding the whole bond situation that we spoke about last time?
Well, I mean, I have quite a few oars in the water. I've got several things going on. So there's overlap into things going on in the financial community that I've had to bounce around a bit on. The bonds are a component. And I think at the end of the day, the reason the bonds are so important is because even if we're talking, quadrillions in derivatives, numbers that are just supercilious. It's not even comprehensible. The actual dismantling of the financial community, as far as we as Americans are concerned, is probably mostly centered around, at this point in time, the school bonds. School bonds are about 84% of the market. And it goes to the core of property ownership. If you can imagine, when the Pilgrims came here to America and wanted to get a fresh start, what they were trying to get away from and out from under was a feudal society run by royals and royalists that you didn't own any land. It was all owned by the royals. And you were just a serf on the land. You were essentially a leaseholder. And you got to farm land, give the biggest percentage to the person that, owned the land. And you could never own the land. And you had to, work within that kind of an understanding. You were literally slaves in the land. They came here to have the ability to put their own sweat, life, blood into their own land and enjoy the fruits of their labors without anybody taxing it away from them. What's happened with the way that the school bonds are set up is that it's become a tax on the land that has become, first of all, it's not legal the way it's being done constitutionally, but it's also you don't own your land anymore. Try not paying your property taxes and see how long you have till it's gone. And the volume of money coming out via property taxes from that land is just unfathomable almost. If you have a $500,000 property and mortgage, you can say that half or more of the money on that mortgage, if you look at the volume and the duration of the bonds, you're going to pay half that value again in property taxes. Places like Colorado, the property taxes went up in the last year 40%. Kansas, 30%. Other locations similar. And by the way, over the next 2 to 5 years, many of these places will have a year after year increase that will be double that you'll pay in property taxes. And part of the way they're getting away with this also is they're raising the assessed value. Doesn't have anything to do with home sales, doesn't have to do with median income. It has to do with they're just arbitrarily raising home values in these districts to be able to meet the financial obligations. So that if you have a home that's worth $500,000 right now, but they have to meet a certain payment schedule within the bonds for property taxes, they'll just arbitrarily say, oh, the houses are all worth $600,000 now. Well, that raises the total amount that you have to pay in property taxes, the mill value, proportionally. And it hasn't got anything to do with actual sales in your area or an actual increase in the value of your land based on inflation and other things. So they have left the building in that way. There's a number of ways they're stealing on the property taxes. And then the bonds themselves are being issued in an illegal manner. There's an insider's game, including to frauding the elections and the ballot measures to just like they put candidates into office unlawfully through fraudulent votes in the election. They do the same thing with bond issues. So we've caught quite a bit of that. We're going to catch more, and fight's on.
So, since we're talking about the election, 2020 is not over yet.
2020, it's not over yet.
I love it when you do that. So what do you foresee? I mean, I know a lot of people are anticipating this quote unquote scare event. I know I spoke to Warren.
I'll tell you what's scary, okay? When people hear the president through the walls in the Oval Office, 2020, 2020. Yeah.
I love it.
Oh my gosh, you can see a little spring in his foot when he's enjoying that. You can see him doing his little dance and twirl some of the bad guys are in the sites right now. Brendan is in the sites. Oh my gosh. I mean, you don't want to follow him around. There's going to be turds everywhere he's walking because he's just sweating bullets so hard. So, yeah.
So, like I was, Warren, he was on last week, and he, had talked to you and your chief of staff. I think, kind of things up and coming, and the bond was a big one. And he had mentioned that, things could get pretty hectic here in the coming, April, May. We've heard Nino say it too, that it could get pretty hairy, if you will. So,
well, I haven't, and I've been very careful, and I keep having to kind of step on Nino's shoelaces and slow him down. The issue is this: the storm is on its way. There's all sorts of things that are happening. So, for example, in the financial markets, the 5 biggest companies that handle these long-term financial investments, which include bonds, the 5 biggest of the big in the world, all announced that they were only allowing companies to cash out up to 45% of their investments that are in these trusts, that investment trusts. Now it's in the fine print, and they're allowed to do this, but they haven't been doing it. And the reason this is important is that if you've got these long-term types of investments, say you're any of the 600 smaller banks that we expect to collapse during this, you need access to the money that you have invested in these long-term investments in order to bridge through a crisis. In fact, all the banks in America after 2008 are required to have 60% minimum invested in government bonds. And so with that 60% investment, it's believed that they have now a stable location of assets that can be used to cover investors in a crisis. The problem is, it's like the punch bowl, okay? They've forced these small banks to have the one thing as we come into this next crisis that makes it more dangerous than ever for those banks, because the bonds are the backbone of these small banks now. The way that they're set up, you have to have 60% plus. And as soon as we get into this next crisis, bonds will be hit, right up front. Long-term bonds, their value will go down radically, and some of them near zero. So the very thing these banks in these stress tests they're looking for to see if they can survive a financial crisis. They're looking at other types of financial crisis. They're not looking at one in the bond market. And with that in mind, they're being set up to fail. It's like the Titanic, designed to sink in the first place. The unsinkable ship actually was designed to sink with certain nudges, and take out not just the small banks, but the mid-level banks also have to consolidate big ones. So this is like, it's a perfect storm that was absolutely intentional, not an accident. And that's the crisis. So how do you protect yourself from it? Well, if you understand it's coming, maybe you have to get out of the things that are going to get worse. For example, in this crisis that's coming, you're talking about a crisis to be able to service the debt load for the school districts that have a financial claim on property and property taxes. You could have all sorts of properties being foreclosed. And what's that do to the value of your real estate if you're the last man standing, or if your real estate's paid off? No bank involved and the county coming after you. There's probably a huge hit coming on private and commercial real estate beyond what's already kind of in the works. So.
Oh, yikes. So this is what Warren's talking about, where it could get a little bit hairy here in the coming days.
Well, and I don't think that it's, you'll get, look, let's talk, Nino saying April, May. I never said April or May. I said that we've already had the first rumblings. I believe that it was always intended by the deep state, whoever they are, these people that want to collapse the U.S. economy, the Western economy. It was always their plan to do this, but they were going to do it closer to 2029, 2030. We've accelerated that schedule because of things that Trump is doing. In part, they wanted to pull this trigger sooner because as we move into the next phase, we're in the investigative phase still, and the early phase of the prosecutions related to 2020 and 2022 and 2024 with vote fraud. And grand juries were impaneled months ago and began hearing testimony concerning 2020, 2022, and 2024. Other stuff is in play from a different direction related to the Russia stuff. I think based on things that have happened within the grand juries that have been impaneled, in this case specifically the Florida grand juries, that Brennan is a likely suspect to be an early arrest. There have been a number of indicators that he's front and center in what the grand juries have done. Prosecutors have license to move, based on other cases that they have connected with and like that. But I think Brennan himself knows that he is front and center for an arrest. Materials were asked for out of the Senate concerning his classified testimony. It's, been put out there in some circles that the grand jury, in fact, has heard that. The reason that they wanted to do that because they were checking to see if he lied to Congress in his classified testimony behind the screen. With 2020 and other things. So with that in mind, is he going to be an early person to take the hit? If he is, and then others around him, from a deep state perspective, they need something to pull the headlines away to something else. Is it North Korea? Is it Iran? Is it Venezuela? Is it Cuba? Is it a financial crisis domestically? Your bank is in trouble and they close down overnight and they got to get absorbed by a bigger bank and your bank card doesn't work anymore and things have to be adjusted somehow. With that in mind, that's quite a crisis. You could take people away to pull them off point with that kind of news. And all of a sudden you're not worried about Brennan. It's a side subject, takes them off the front page. I believe that the financial stuff was intended as a play as we get into some of the bigger arrests. It might start with the Brennan, which is pretty big, but go even bigger beyond that. How big? Well, I'll just tell you, Obama himself is in the sights. He's a treasonous, traitorous piece of shit with things that he's doing, even right now. There's been back channel stuff he's doing even to other political allies to undermine us, in these foreign negotiations. Things that he accused Trump of doing are things that they're actually doing for real. Trump didn't do it. They're actually doing it for real. So what comes around goes around, and they're about to have a great awakening themselves in a lot of these circles.
About to see a FAFO moment.
Yeah. And it's appropriate, but it's going to be very gripping. Okay. And by the way, let me just add this. You mentioned my chief of staff. He actually helped put together. He was in charge of putting together the media room at Gitmo.
I heard.
At some point in here, everybody needs to understand. Gitmo's ready for action right now. They've got it fully stocked. They got all the freaking, things in there that these geriatric people are going to need as we're dealing with them as they get to Gitmo and see their new accommodations. And it's a large number that's going to be there. That said, Cuba right next door, Chinese spy operations all through Cuba. We're going to shut that all down. Cuba's going to get a choice, and they're already in trouble on the energy and all that. And actually, the leadership in Cuba is kind of seeking some, middle ground. We're not going to let the communists stay in power, but we're going to give them an escape route and take Cuba back into the kind of country it really needs to be. Allow Cubans here and other countries in the region to go back home and try to help get it back on track. And that's going to be an amazing thing. But it also means that while we're so busy next door at Gitmo, we don't have to look over our shoulder at Chinese operations, or even Russian operations, interfering with what we're going to do there at Gitmo coming from Cuba, or MI6 and other people from the Canada connection, not happening. So we're going to help the Cuban people out. It's going to be an amazing time.
So I was just going to ask you. So do you think that's Cuba's next? We're going to be taking Cuba next?
Well, Cuba's in the mix, and
Okay.
there already have been some discussions from people high in there that would like to stay. I don't think they're going to get allowed to stay, but they're going to get a route that allows for a reasonable, intelligent transition to occur. And you have to remember, too, the people of Cuba have lived in this bizarre, crazy, wonky environment for so long that it's, they need, there's some need to decompress and relearn and re-understand some things. So you can't just flip the situation 100% instantly. And so they'll have to pick their own course moving forward, but we'll try to help and do it in the right sense. And then we have lots of Cuban nationals here in America that can assist in that and make it, make sense and help through it. We don't have to do it as America as such. We can help the community of Cubans recapture control of Cuba and Cuban operations.
And since you mentioned it real briefly, we taught you, you hear a lot about these sleeper cells. And I think I heard you on Nino's show, you guys were talking about some of these things that are up and coming. And I know Nino talks about sleeper cells. And I think it was brought up that some about them being activated, and that you had mentioned that you foresaw that the administration's getting ahead of that. There are some out there, but it's not maybe as bad as that has been projected out there. Is that?
Well, let me just say this too.
Yes, please.
There's a number of people that have done fairly well, with amping up every concern and crisis, as though, it's the end of the world every time you turn around. It's Chicken Little over and over and over. It's crying out the big bad wolf and everything over and over. And there may be a glint of that here and there, but certainly not in the way that they intone. And then they constantly, they're like Jean Dixon, this clairvoyant that so many people love. Nancy Reagan listened to a lot. But, she told you everything was going to happen. The devil's going to win. Christ is returning. Our alien cousins are going to save us. There's people underground coming from out of the woodwork to, kill us. She had every angle covered. That's what I'm trying to get to, okay?
Yeah.
So that no matter what happened, she could claim to have said that, she, told you on such and so date, okay? It's like I was having some fun with one of my friends who is a very well-known person in radio, and they were, doing the Survivor thing and all that. And I told him, I said, I know who's going to be picked for the Survivor, in this thing, and it's all rigged and everything else. No way, there's no way you can do that. It's live and it happens. They draw it out of a jar. Okay, well, I had put like the proper answers, under the desk here, behind the bookcase there, over in this other thing in the studio. And, he's live on the air, and they announced the whole thing. And I said, well, just look here and you'll see I wrote it down. There it is. And he's like, how did you figure that? Well, I had it all covered. But he wasn't figuring it out that moment. I took all the other stickies away next time I was in the studio. But the long and short of it is that these guys, even Trump himself, doesn't know completely. He has pretty good ideas. He has options. What's possible? Trump was going into a thing where he's talking to a bunch of military cadets a while back, and he had about a dozen of them there behind the curtain backstage before he went to speak. And he says to him, he says, how many people do you think know exactly what I'm going to say when I go out to stage here in a few minutes? And, one of them was like a half a dozen, another one's like 30 and whatever. And Trump says, no, one. I'm the only person that knows what I'm going to say when I get out there on that stage right now. I haven't told Melania doesn't know what I'm going to say when I get out there. Now, he may have discussed different things with people all the way through, but when it actually came to him making the critical statement or decision, no, he hadn't dialed anybody else in. And I think that's important that people understand. He's keeping his own counsel. He's keeping things close to the vest. And the circumstances dictate his next moves. With Venezuela and Iran, he's let them know he's coming to do certain things. He's given them fair warning. Sometimes it's in a zone. Other times it's, with some date certain. Tomorrow night, he says, we're going in and take out all your power stations and your bridges. In other words, I would be standing next to a power station tomorrow night, 8 o'clock Eastern, which, is like 4 in the morning in Iran. And you don't have it sorted out. You haven't agreed to some kind of fallback on the Strait of Hormuz and not attacking it. Then we're going to take out your ability to generate power, have power, do anything, okay? And we're just going to turn the lights out all across Iran, which, by the way, is not an attack on the Iranian people. It's an attack on the powers that be that are holding them hostage also, and the manufacturing capability inside Iran to manufacture the weapons of war, the drones and other stuff readily. to move oil and pipelines and things like that. So, he's given them a date certain. They've already said that they're not going to comply, agree to, capitulate, whatever. Okay, well, tomorrow night at 8 o'clock, the lights get turned out. That's it. So we'll see. The reason that that's important for us as a community, there's people inside of our community that have been talking trash about Trump, and he's not understanding the economic impacts to America and the world and else. He understands completely.
Yeah.
Like Reagan. Reagan came into office, and he actually had one thing that most people didn't catch from day one, even in the kitchen cabinet, before he actually took office, but after he was elected, the kitchen cabinet. Objective number one, stop this stupid, endless Cold War. Short version is, we win, they lose. Tell me how we're going to do it. It's over. It has to stop. We're not going to bleed the country and the world endlessly with this Cold War. We're just going to put it to an end, snuff it out. And they came up with a process, brought oil prices down to the ground, so they couldn't sell oil out of Kazakhstan regions. People just walked away from the oil drilling operations. Billions and billions invested there by groups all over the world. They just walked away because he forced the Saudis to pump oil to the maximum capacity they had. Texas did the same thing, brought the price of oil down from the mid 40s, even up into the 50s, predominantly in the mid 30s, down to the point it didn't just reach $8 or $9, $10 a barrel. It went to negative numbers. How is that possible? How do you have negative numbers? Oil wells are not like spigots on your house. You just turn the water on and off. You have to maintain what's called capillary action and flow. And so if you just turn off the ability of oil to flow out of a well, you damage the capillary action in that well, the drawing action. And that well can be destroyed. And the only way to fix it is to cap off all the wellheads, repressurize it, and drill new wells. Russia walked away from thousands of wells and destroyed those wells because they didn't keep pumping. Here in America and across the Western world, they kept the wells flowing, but they were pushing the oil into tanks and tankers. Everything that could hold oil was holding oil. And then they shut off certain of the wells. We just did, we had so much oil going that, price of oil came down radically. Then it broke the financial back for Russia. Out through the process, we, pushed arms into Afghanistan and forced them to fight a more costly war there. Put certain things in place in the Contras that countered their ability to fight there in Nicaragua and other areas in the region. Challenged them on the drug flow and who was going to control those groups that were flowing drugs. South America, it's a bit difficult for people to get their minds around. And finally, our efforts to buy up rubles and then later to flood their market with their rubles that were counterfeit. They were their rubles, and broke their back on the monetary system, drew down the price of the ruble by 40% in just a matter of a couple of months. So we're doing something similar today. Trump has said, we're done. We're not going to allow terrorists to rule the world. And at the end of the day, the people that run the terrorists, because it's not the terrorists, they're being puppeteered. North Korea, Iran, Venezuela, Cuba. We're not going to allow that anymore. We're just going to stop the terrorism by these puppeted groups. So that's exactly what Trump's doing. And they're going to have a very hard time of causing problems for us. And then the stolen elections with people in office that aren't who they're, the people of those countries want. Remember, the people that we have here in the U.S. testifying to grand juries concerning the vote fraud 2020, 2022, 2024, the activities of the Brennans of the world and others, those same people who actually did the mechanical work and who have essentially become whistleblowers or changed teams, they say that they flipped the elections in 71 countries plus the United States. So we have a lot of work to do. Imagine 71 countries where the election was frauded. Well, that encompasses much of the world where commerce is messed up, elections are messed up, finances are messed up. And why is that going on? Because you got people in office that are the servants of this globalist elite, bleeding the profits out of everywhere they can. And Trump's putting an end to that. Imagine, by the way, and I hear all this shit talk. It's just driving me crazy.
Tell me about it.
Otherwise, were friends or fans of President Trump, and now they're upset with him. Like the latest today, Trump was a bit descriptive in the way he addressed Iran in his open tweet over Truth Social, telling them to get their act together and to work a deal on Strait of Hormuz or suffer the consequences by 8 o'clock tomorrow night. He used a cuss word or two and was very descriptive. Well, okay, wait a minute. We're at war. Okay.
Yep.
Having a nice, friendly, well, it's a dignified. Let's sit down at the conference. Should it be oval? Should it be round? Should it be square? A conference. No. Let's sit down at the conference. No, but I want to talk about the shape of the conference table first. And we want to talk about, should we have linen napkins and tablecloth, or should it just be placemats? So I like to see the wood on the table. You want to see, the cloth. I don't like to cover up all the wood. Trump isn't having any of that. You bastards, either figure it out or suffer the consequences. We're not talking nice anymore. We've had enough time.
Amen.
Look at the price of oil up there at $112 a barrel. It was down at 60 a few months back. Energy makes the world go round. People have jobs. They're able to go to work all over the world besides America based on that ability to buy energy. By the way, this hidden tax that the fucking Brits put on everything with their little Lloyd's of London trick and all that, and creating conflict and amping it up and getting more in insurance payments and letting it idle down. They're behind so much of the mischief behind the scenes, creating, promoting, sustaining conflict. And then with their intelligence, anticipating possible problem areas, and then suggesting ways that the people that get insurance from get around it, and other assistance, including, security and other things. It's a game. It's a hidden tax. It's a way for them to keep getting money behind the scenes, as though it's, just a consequence of war, and we're helping. Yeah, you're helping by promoting it, stupid dumbass. So Trump is saying no more. We're going to stabilize these otherwise unstable areas. We're going to stop the promoting behind the scenes of these unstable people in these unstable areas and these stolen elections in these unstable areas, and try to return this and get it back on track, including from the intelligence agencies involved, which includes treacherous, treasonous, traitorous people in our own intelligence agencies over the CIA and others, like Brennan, that piece of shit. And we're cleaning out the stalls and getting things back on track, and that's what Trump is doing, as he should do.
Amen.
These people that are railing against Trump because he has some bad talk, look, if we don't get a deal, a whole bunch of people are going to die. We don't want to be American soldiers either, but we're going to go in and clean up the job. We're not going to sit here and live with a knife to our throat for another 50 years. Done. Reagan stopped the Cold War. Trump's going to stop the terrorism war and kick a few people in the teeth on the way. And if they don't want to back down, it might be more than teeth. Take their heads off. We're going to stop it, and as we should. We're not going to live with our throats in the grip of brutes, of bullies, acting all nice while they're getting ready to slit your throat. And that's the way it is. So you don't like the talk? Wait till you see what happens after tomorrow night. Maybe the talk was appropriate, because if it shakes them out of their dream that Trump's going to be gone, and other people that will put up with the madness and embrace the madness for many more years, and they'll be able to continue on with their bad schemes, then they're the ones that are, actually being helped by some harsh rhetoric, some shake you out of your doldrums rhetoric, your malaise mentality. Okay, it's got to go back to the way it was. It's not fair. All right, kick him in the ass. Use the pointy boots when you do it. Leave a mark. Okay.
I'm here for it.
Yeah, and that's what Trump's doing. So, and by the way, who else could do that? Reagan was pretty tough in his rhetoric, but he's nowhere near as aggressive and assertive as Trump is. But the moment that we're in the world, I think, requires that. Stop the happy talk. These people are monsters that we're going after. And, for example, Venezuela, with all the drugs coming into America and the facilitation of that, let alone Mexico. How many Americans, mostly youth, have died because of the drugs? Okay. Unbelievable amounts of drugs coming in, including Cuba and other places, by the way. And we're supposed to just talk nice. They're killing millions of young Americans, not just their physical body, but their dreams also. So Trump's being aggressive, as he should be. And the counterpoint, the other thing I want to add into that is this. What would the world look like right now if Trump had been killed at Butler? If someone else had taken the presidency, even if it was Vance or something, or Kamala? Can you imagine what the world would look like if Trump wasn't in office?
Chaos.
These threats are still all out there. And by the way, remember, in the late summer and fall of last year, or a year and a half ago, at the end of the election, what was going on that everybody was talking about? All the drones all over the East Coast and other parts of the country. What were they looking for? Trump was very specific. Well, they're looking for nuclear materials, obviously. Okay, they're not, Chinese drones. They're not space alien spacecraft they're looking for or something like that. No, they were looking for radiological material and some other things that fall in the biological realm, but primarily radiological. We're still missing a few bombs. There's some bombs actually out there missing. The Russian general who was killed in the scooter attack explosion in Moscow a couple years ago. That was clearly done with the aid of Western intelligence agencies. Okay? But here's the scary part. He was one of Putin's closest friends. Okay? They've known each other since their teens. And this was one of Putin's most trusted allies within the Russian machine, if you will. Putin had entrusted him to try to track down some precursor systems that allow for refreshment of older nuclear devices. See, some devices went missing in Ukraine. And the problem is you can't blow them up with the triggers that are there at this age because they time out. They become ineffective to just get a fizzle to get anything. So they're very delicate, intricate, complicated devices. The word had gotten out that somehow a handful of these trigger mechanisms had been rebuilt, refreshed, and were loose. And so this general was the one that was working through the process to try and locate where these could be. But supposedly Ukrainian military people found him in downtown Moscow, exploded this scooter, and killed him. There's way more to the story than that. They had to have Western intelligence assistance, satellite, etc. And so the contention is that it was a combination of CIA, MI6, and by the way, Canadian intelligence operation that allowed that to happen. So with that in mind, however it happened, this guy's dead, and he had the inside lane to figure out where these triggers were for these nuclear devices. So when you're criticizing Trump and he used a bad word, and he's got a take no prisoners attitude in dealing with Iran, the center of terrorism for most of the world, I would be very careful, because later disclosures, history itself may show that yeah, you picked a lane and it was the wrong lane. Okay, at one of the most crucial moments in American history and in the history of the world, there is a sum of all fears threat to America and to the world. And there's a number of people in critical places that still believe that they're going to be able to get Trump. Would they nuke an entire city if they thought they could get Trump? You better believe that. They would do anything, because they're threatened with extinction of life as they know it.
Yep.
If Trump stays alive, they'll do anything.
So Juan, I know you said you had an hour time. How are you doing on time? We're right about there. Are you doing okay?
Well, I've got some other stuff that I have to get to, but I got a couple minutes, and if you got a question or two, I'm glad to answer. I mean, I hope I'm helping your audience. Just remember, prayer.
Yeah, you're doing great.
Prayer required. We're coming into some of the scariest moments ever in the history of mankind. Trump is taking on real monsters, hidden right there in plain sight, even within our own country. You know, we've had a number of high-ranking military personnel shown the door. Don't let the screen door hit you on the ass on the way out. Cleaning the house, and more to come.
So we going to see the scariest times in history this year, you think? You think we're coming into it?
Well, that's where I was trying to help Nino be careful. The worst of the storm probably doesn't get to us this year. And certainly very disruptive things are yet ahead. But Rome wasn't built in a day. You know, when Rome burned, when Nero burned down Rome to rebuild it, reinvent it, It burned for a week. And people were so horrified, so at a loss for how to move forward, hungry, parched, unable to function, that it was said that in the aftermath of the burning of Rome, people laid down in the fields around the area and just never got up. They died where they laid down. They lost all hope. They didn't have fight left in them. That's what our enemy would like us to do. Some of the things ahead may be that debilitating. But see, the greater fear for me, and I think for everybody in this audience, should be I would have a fear of failure for our children, for the next generation, generations beyond. That should be a motivator that on our watch, no matter what it took, no matter how hard we had to fight, no matter how difficult the moment, we didn't lose focus, we didn't lose hope, because we were looking for it not from men, not from supplies, not from the enemy stopping, but from God himself. We're on a holy mission here, a divine mission to bring peace on the earth. And how do we do that? We don't let evil continue to percolate and fester and get away with the treason and terrorism that's going on internally or externally. Remember, here's one of the things you have to understand about Iran. Iran was very deeply involved in the Congo with China and with other countries, South Africa and others, to go in there and rape the country of all this very crucial mineral wealth, including cobalt. Along the way, over the last 20 years or so, 20 million people have died in the Congo. Over half of them children. You have over 2 million, I think closer to 2.5 million refugees in Uganda on the border of the Congo who escaped and are living moment to moment, day to day there. The world doesn't even know about this. Iran's got its filthy hands all over this. These mullahs, they were getting money. The threats to the shipping and the back doors on getting money. The Obama money that was sent there to keep them rolling. What President Trump is doing is to bring it to a head and end this war. And the people in the audience, the people criticizing right now, need to be helped to rethink this and understand this isn't just a political disagreement. This isn't just a religious favoritism or disfavor. This is war. They've declared war on the West. They've declared war on us. And if you don't go along, I will blow you up. Well, no, you won't. I will blow you up first. You're going to try and come over and blow up my grandma's house. I'm going to come over and blow up your grandma's house and your brother's grandma's house and your sister's grandma's house and all of the other relatives' grandma's houses by your 9 different fathers. We're going to go blow them all up. We're not going to put up with that. So you can decide you want to come up with a peaceful resolution. And by the way, when you raise oil prices to outer space, you stop people from being able to work. You stop commerce. You stop the velocity of money. You break down the financial markets. In 2008, when President Bush came out and told the world that, wow, last night we had to intervene in the financial markets. And if we hadn't intervened when we did, within 24 hours, the world's financial markets, as we know them, would have collapsed completely. And we would not have been able to put it back together again. Okay? We wouldn't even have been able to turn on the lights to do an EBS. If we did, you wouldn't be able to receive it because you couldn't turn on your TV set or your radio to hear the EBS. Okay? Emergency broadcast system. So, you know, he says the world was literally on the brink of going into the Stone Age. That's the way they portrayed it in 2008. How did that all start? The financial markets went into a catastrophic mode when energy prices spiked in late 2007, going all into the early part of 2008. And it broke the housing market. It broke the construction market. It broke a lot of the manufacturing market with energy prices so high that they couldn't compete. And then customers weren't there to buy all these products because one domino led to another, led to another, led to another. You now have very high energy prices all of a sudden. Again, the machine, the world runs on energy. At this point in human history, it's primarily oil. So when oil prices spike like they are right now, you can turn off the machine, the business of America's business, the work, the factories, the cars going to and from, even the vacations, the airplanes, etc. All of those things are being heavily affected by these high energy prices. So you got a bunch of generals and know-it-alls saying Trump's damaging the world's way. No, he's bringing it to a head because what they've been doing is bleeding us with 1,000 razor slashes with their insurance for the ships going through the Gulf, and you know, all these little extra costs and fees and the defense stuff that we have to spend on defense systems and military systems on year after year after year after year after year after year after year. He's bringing that to an end. Don't criticize him because he's bringing it to an end instead of allowing going on. Who's worse? The one that lets you lose a person a year for decades and decades, or the one that lets you lose 10 people in a year and it's done, over, gone, finished? And by the way, we won the Cold War. Very few deaths compared to what it could have been with the way Reagan fought it. Trump is doing the same thing. We're bringing it to a head. We're bringing it to an end. We're being as clean as we can, as surgical as we can, but we're going to bring it to an end. If we got to go start taking out power stations and bridges so they can't move around easily and they don't have power to do what they want to do, the Iranian people will make it. It's the best thing we can do without going right after something that could hurt the Iranian people directly. And then when the time comes, it comes time to rebuild, we'll go in there and help them put them back together again. So, you know, we're doing exactly what we're supposed to do. Trump's an amazing person. He's playing not 3D chess, he's playing 5D chess.
Yeah.
Enjoy the show.
People keep saying 3D, and I'm like, oh, no. So real quickly, I know you got to go. Can you maybe touch real quickly on Tina Peters? Because we know that they're going to give her a different. They threw out that 9-year dealio for her. Can you tell us what's going to go on with her? The sentencing of that, and then yeah, touch on, if you can, Pam Bondi a little bit. If not, I know you got to go.
First off, please, prayer changes things.
Amen.
If you believe that, okay, if you believe there's a God in heaven, there's good and evil, you must believe what the scriptures teach us is that God does intervene in the affairs of men. And there are certain lines that are crossed that he won't allow it to go further. And what we do is give God permission to act in this world, to assist us in this world. He's a gentleman. He doesn't act without being given first permission. He gave the earth and everything that's in it to Adam and his seed. Well, we are the seed of Adam. He gave authority over everything that creeps and crawls and moves upon the earth to Adam and his seed. And it was all restored, doubled down on by the second Adam, which is Christ, and everything made new again. At the end of the day, this is ours. We can't look and say the devil did this, you know, that we're, you know, the devil owns the world or whatever. That is not true. With what happened at the cross, this was all returned, restored to the children of Adam, were those children. And if we choose to let the devil operate and work and do whatever, well, then it's ours to give. But we don't choose to do that from a saved position. We choose not to let that happen. So we ask for divine assistance and give God the request and permission to act in this world, to assist us. That's why President Trump has called for this national assembly in Washington, D.C. on May 17th, and to assemble in that area. And what is the prayer? It's not a prayer, please God save us, please God do this or that. That might be included. It's a rededication of America to God's purposes, to his will, to why those pilgrims came here and covenanted with God to, you know, use this place, this location as a launching zone to bring the message of salvation to the world. So this May 17th event, you know, he said for himself personally that at the inauguration, that he believed that he had been saved by God Almighty, you know, not just at Butler, but at other places also, for this exact moment in time to do exactly what is being done right now, which is to free the world from the tyrants, the slavery, both the money tyrants, the military tyrants, the terrorism tyrants, those that would enslave us and be pharaohs and make us slaves in Egypt again. So Trump is asking us to come and rededicate ourselves to, it's like couples, they'll re-say their vows with their spouses occasionally and reaffirm what their relationship is, their commitment. Committing to the covenants that were the basis for this country coming to being. See, the Constitution came after the people actually had already assembled and begun to build out. The Constitution is just an agreement between those who would be in positions of authority and governance and the people as to what would be the restraints, the guidelines that would be put on people in positions of authority, and what would be the authorities of the people, a government of the people, by the people, for the people, where the people are the authority and government comes to heal and obeys the will of the people. It's gotten out of whack. President Trump is asking for us to come to Washington, D.C., to join in the National Mall and to rededicate America just as he has done himself to God's will and God's purposes. And then beyond that, it's not just for that day, May 17th. Why was that day chosen? It's a Sunday. Revelations with John the Revelator begins. He was on the Isle of Patmos in exile. Probably at that time, the last of the disciples still alive. He had been tortured grievously, but was still alive. And they're in exile. And he starts out in the book of Revelations. He says, I was in the Spirit on the Lord's day, so the day of rest. And he was contemplating and meditating on scripture, his life experience, what had happened in the world since Christ had come, their ministry, everything. And then he had this revelation of what was to be. Like Daniel, he wanted to know how this was all going to end. And he gets caught up in the spirit, taken to the heavenly city, given a ruler to measure the city, and shown all sorts of amazing, beautiful things, and also the dramas that were to take place on the earth in this end time moment that's coming. But he was in the spirit on the Lord's day when he got the revelation. I believe that there's a visitation that God will have on the people. Very individual, very private, very special in most all cases. But those that choose to participate on that day, being in the spirit on the Lord's day, a Sunday, May 17th in the year 2026. And then it's not just about that day. It's 49 days until the 4th of July, including the 4th of July. If you count the 17th of May and the 4th of July, it's 49 days. That's 7 times 7. In the scriptures, you followed, your work week was 6 days you labored, the 7th day you rested from your labors, just as God created the world in 6 days and then he rested. In years, the people of God were told to work 6 years, plowing the fields, doing all the stuff, and then the 7th year, rest. So along the way, they had to save up grain. They had to save up enough grain to replant in the 8th year when they started it up again, and preserve it. A lot of work went into that, 6th year, probably the 5th year also. And then they take a year off from all their labors and take a break. Go to Hawaii, get a suntan, hang out, walk on the beach, whatever. Every week of years was called a Jubilee year. So for 49 years, you did a week of years and a day, a year off. In the 49th year, it wasn't just 1 year, it was called a Jubilee year. And you actually took off the 49th year and the 50th year. So you had to store up grain for 2 years, enough to eat and food and supplies like that to get through that season, let the land rest from its labors, producing, etc., let it go fallow, and be ready to restart. But there was one other thing that happened. You would have all the land that had been sold, any possessions that had been sold, had returned to the original owner. So if you had a parent that sold your birthright to somebody else, they weren't good business people, or they thought they could make more money doing something else, sewing shirts, investing their labor somehow else, hats, building, stuff like that, and they sold the land, they could only sell the land up until the next Jubilee year. They could sell a leasehold for 10 years, 11, whatever. Maybe it's 45 years to Jubilee. But if they were selling it during that entire period, they could only sell to the next Jubilee. And then the land had to go back to the original owner. It kept a cap on property prices, because the money you would get for a piece of property with 45 years till the lease is up is different than if you only had 5 years. And then the land had to go back to the original owners. Why? For family. Because if you're a kid and you really didn't have very good business people for parents and relatives, in your lifetime, you had a reasonable expectation that you were going to get your crack at it and that it would come to you. in that Jubilee year. And so you lived knowing that even if you're in a really tough time, somewhere in there, you were going to get your crack at it. What's going on here? Why did Trump pick 49 days? Because the 50th day, the 50th year, is when everything comes back to you. We're about to enter this period where America's birthrights were sold by previous generations, stolen in fraudulent deals by previous generations. We're going to go get it all back. Honest vote, honest money. The frauds within the spiritual Christian religious communities are going to be exposed. Every one of them that's there fraudulent should be alert, aware, considering that God's about to reveal who's who in the church zoo, okay? That many of the masks are going to come off. Everybody's going to have to pick a lane, and they're doing it right now.
Yeah.
This 50th year, I think, in the way that Trump sees it, symbolically, this new season for America, this next series of 50 years of blessing and return, starts on July 5th. And I think some of the dramas are being saved till after that to get us through our celebration, get us home, and, probably more like 7/7 and beyond, 7/10 or something like that, that there's some kind of a new period, dispensation era that begins in earnest, including justice being served, arrests, prosecutions, Gitmo, even the media, and many of the frauds there being exposed and or going away, a new media coming to life. And by the way, 7 is Trump's number. He was 70 years old, 7 months, and 7 days on his first full day in office, which wasn't January 20th of 2017, because that was only a half day. That's just the inauguration day, a few speeches, go dance with the wife at a couple parties, everybody celebrates. The work began for him the next day, January 21st of 2017, when he showed up in the Oval Office at 7 a.m. Okay. He's had this connection to sevens that he recognizes. It's kind of fun. God does deal in numbers. We don't run our lives by it. But, the 40 days, 40 nights, God did a perfect week. 6 days he labored, the 7th he rested.
Yep.
His Jubilee based on the 7th. And the 50s, 5 is the number of grace. 0 doesn't count in a lot of the gematria. Well, so what's the 50th year? Drop to 0. It's the number of grace, giving us grace to get past all of the things that have been happening to us as a country. We're about to enter, for those that have eyes to see and ears to hear, I'm telling you, we're about to enter a season of blessing. Blessing isn't just getting goods. It's not even just getting your health. Blessing, ultimately, the greatest blessing that you can receive is eternal life. And we're going to see a huge percentage of the population as we go through these dramas ahead, this near-death experience, many crises, are going to find a new commitment to God, to his purposes, find a place in his heavenly realm out in the future. But for the moment, to serve God here in this world, to do beautiful, important things.
Amen.
That's the blessing. And then beyond that, you will see a fruitfulness return to America, that the people of America get to enjoy the, they grow a garden, they grow a vineyard, they get to eat from it, not an enemy. They put their money in a bag. It doesn't have holes in it, dropping your money out everywhere you walk. That you enter into sound deals with business entities and partners that everybody involved benefits because of their combined labor. The beauty of America, the way that it works the best, is that we have a division of labor. If I want to build a whole car from scratch, I got to learn how to be an electrician. I got to learn how to make wire. I got to learn how to make tires. I got to find all the materials. It might take me a whole lifetime to make one car if I have to make every single component. But when we divide the labor up between different people, different groups, different locations, different specialties, I can now pick from the best and build something beautiful and have it done in months, days if I'm a factory. And that's what we're coming back to, a very productive division of labor. And beyond just the things that we've seen and done and dealt with before, where is it that we're going as a people? President Trump helped get in play something excruciatingly important, and this is the last thing I'll say here before I have to run off, but I want to get people understanding. JFK gave my generation a dream. Let's go to the moon. Not because it was easy, because it was hard. It stretched us in our capabilities and our imaginations. Somewhere along the way, things got hijacked. Things didn't get done the way they were supposed to. And whatever happened with Apollo was ended. And since then, we've just been going in circles in near Earth orbit, not really accomplishing very much. The Abrahamic covenant to the father of the faithful, which I hope is every person in this audience. The Abrahamic covenant is that he would have children that would become nations, and that they would be as the sand of the seashore for number. That's a lot of sand. If you took a whole dump truck load, that might only be the number of people that have lived on the world, to this point in time, big dump truck of sand. So it's kind of a very long-lasting earthly seed. When you think of all the beaches across the world, that's a long time. But beyond that, he also said, and as the stars in the heaven, a spiritual seed. But it also could have another meaning even beyond that we are to inhabit not just the earth, but the space above it. Not just the space above it, but the region in this whole solar system and beyond. That the promises to the children of Adam aren't restrained to this earthly realm solely, but to this whole region of space and beyond that God has created out over time, over eons. And who starts that? In what generation does it occur? Have we been stymied thus far? Does somebody not want us, to enjoy that? President Trump authorized, promoted that we're going to go to the moon. Right now, we have astronauts in flight circling the moon right now. They'll go deeper into space than any man has ever gone thus far, further out past the moon before they return and come back to Earth. It's far more important and serious than most people have actually begun to realize yet. Next year, we intend and purpose to land astronauts on the moon and then begin the process so that by 2030, less than 4 years from now, we begin construction of a moon base. And it won't take decades to build this out. We're going to send a whole bunch of vehicles all at the same time. And we're going to build a moon base instead of doing another Skylab or space station, which, by the way, the space station has a very serious issue that may take it out and have to be abandoned long before we get to 2030. That's not really being talked about that much, but it is in the public. There's a crack in a key area on it that could cause it to fail catastrophically. So they're looking at how long can they stay there. We're going to build a moon base. We're going to put people there permanently, begin the transits back and forth on a regular basis. Much of it will be underground, by the way. And that's stretching out in anticipation to very shortly after establishing that moon base, going out to Mars and doing the same thing. That this population, you think of what we can do here on the Earth. We can, the Earth's too small. Yeah, it will be at some point. So let's start stretching it out now. Your children and your children's children may very well live on space stations that my company builds that are right over your head. And that would be the goal. Why is all of this so important? Because President Trump is making sure that the children right now, kids too young to understand right now, teenagers, young adults have an understanding that there is a future. There's something beyond this moment, even as we go through the crises that are just ahead and start to clean up the house that we live in here in America, and then go help our neighbors all across the world to clean up their election systems, their monetary systems, their business systems, their political systems, to create governments of the people, by the people, for the people, and get rid of these evil, satanic, Baal-worshiping monsters that have captured control across the world. As we move out into the world and solve these things, beyond this instant crisis, we're going to hand over a campsite that's cleaner, well organized, where there's not danger for the next group coming in. We're going to hand a world over that's ready for them to go out and make something of. I had a very close friend, and I spoke at his funeral service. He was a very powerful, energetic, person. You knew when you were in the room with him that you were in the room with someone that was really getting things done. And I likened it to being there strapped to a Saturn V rocket, like we had the Apollo program, the most powerful engine built to that moment in time. And when they light the burners off, just like what we saw with Artemis 2 the other day, I mean, the smoke, the steam, they spray water in by the engines to soften the impact so it doesn't shake things apart. And that's that white smoke. It's actually steam that you see at the launch at the beginning. And but you knew you were going somewhere. But that first stage only takes you up a couple of miles, only gets you out to a very high speed, few thousand miles an hour, and then it falls away. You have the energy, the momentum from it, but it's gone. Now the second stage fires, and it takes you out to a low Earth orbit. In this particular case, it was an eccentric orbit, means like an egg shape, way out and then back in. It was very not round, it was oblong, and or egg shaped. But that doesn't take you away from the Earth. You haven't got escape velocity. This generation, we had very powerful people that got us to where we are in the world right now. And people like President Trump. Somewhere in here, the baton will be passed. And it'll be up to us to light, to take us further out, to escape some of these things that are damaging us as a people, this place, this time in history. And then we're going to pass the baton. And these kids are going to light. They've got to light. They got to hit the button. They got to go.
Yep.
And they'll leave the constraints, not just of the Earth, not just of the Earth-Moon system. They will go out into the rest of the solar system and have all of that to mine, to build, to grow in a space 1 billion times bigger than what they started with here in these confines here on the Earth. And as they do that, they'll be fulfilling God's promise to Abraham. They will build civilization out in ways that are hard to even begin to comprehend now. And much of that will happen just in the next few generations. So
Yeah, that's a whole nother podcast.
Well, we look forward to this, but it starts right now. I want the kids to understand that moon launch and the landing next year is part of a promise to them, a covenant to them, not just from Trump, but going back to President Kennedy. We're going to pick up, we're going to lift off where we started off with Kennedy and finish the job of this permanent habitations off the earth. And it's going to happen in just the next few years with God willing. And it's going to be something amazing and beautiful. In other words, we don't want the kids right now to despair as we talk about the crises, the potential for an EBS, other attacks. God's promise is for the future. And we're going to see that done. And if we have to go through some drama right now, that's so that they can get something cleaned up. We're going to fix these messes and hand them off something to work with that is fresh and
Well, it's
ready
like
to go.
it's like I tell my audience, short-term pinch, long-term gain. So, yeah.
Yep.
Well, Juan, I appreciate you being here. You gave us more time than you said you had, so I appreciate that. You enjoy wherever you're at, and safe travels tomorrow.
Yes. I got a lot this week. I think probably about 8,000 or 10,000 miles of travel this week before the week's over. So anyway, appreciate getting a chance to talk with the audience. I hope that helps everybody, and we'll talk again soon.
Absolutely, Juan. We'll get you back on here. Thank you, my friend. Travel safe.
All right.
Have a great night.
Folks.
Good night, everybody. God bless.